Yora, good evening. Welcome to 2025 and welcome to Code Night New Zealand. Well, I'm glad to be back. Uh, Hope you had like a great break. Last session we had like was back in November. So we had like a long break, right? But this year we're coming back with sessions already aligned, right? This is the first of the year. And yeah, I'd like to thank you just for connecting and being available here and just checking like our sessions, right? And yeah, this year is just starting. I think things just got like we had like a good break, but now we're coming back like full power with sessions. And tonight we have like this session in here, like leveraging low fat NuGet packages in .NET applications. Um, this one is an interesting session because when that came up to me, we're just having like well, during like the break and the holiday periods, and during the break in general, you maybe you eat a little bit more, a little bit much sometimes, and then I was thinking about how about like low fat diet, right? Well, have like resolutions for the new year. And then I was thinking about like, okay, on this sort of topic, or uh, what could be done, right? And I was thinking about like the applications that I've been doing like the past year and the past couple of years. And I think we all tend to do like uh, nowadays, or pondering, right, requirements and checking what's really needed for us to deliver applications. I decided to put this one to be more a session that where we can discuss, right, options and check like whether this is feasible, right, for your applications. I've been doing that like for, as I said, like for the past couple of years, um, just trying to be lean, right? So that's why I decided to do that, the session. It's more for us to reflect on the needs of our applications and based on requirements, really. Before we start, right? So just let me introduce you to the user group, and just let me change the slides. Really, here you go. I I am your speaker tonight. I am your host. In general, we have different speakers coming. But yeah, this is me, Marcel Medina. I'm a software developer, Azure specialist. I've been in the field for a few years in the market. I'm a certified trainer, got like some different Microsoft certs. I'm a practice lead currently at Datacom. This is my technical blog. I'm also like a Microsoft MVP. And yeah, I've been leading the user group, Code Nights New Zealand user group. If you are coming for the first time, just like to tell you that we are a community group of developers. We love coding, follow best practices on software development languages and technologies. In general, we tend to focus a little bit more on the Microsoft stack, but as always say, we are open to any technologies. And out of this group, uh, well, you're always going to find like great content for you to understand, learn, and use at your work, right? Regardless on your career junior or your career path, if you're like a junior or intermediate, senior dev, lead dev, as I said, you're always going to find great content. The intent user group to enable developers with practical knowledge to excel and launch their careers. We're part of AzureTire.com. We're a cloud native group of enthusiasts where we get to talk about the latest and greatest under the cloud native space. We're also part of .NETFoundation.org, which is an entity that looks after the different open source .NET projects, and JetBrains, we're sponsored by JetBrains, software tooling for developers. With no further ado, let me just get going. And we have some agenda for tonight. where we're going to be checking built-in, right? What's the low fat that we're bringing here? It's just built-in dependencies. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about custom NuGet packages, right? That can bring, or I'm calling like here, like the high fat, just as a analogy, right? Something that's lean, something that has more. That's not always the rule, but it's interesting. We're going to have like some comparisons and check that. And bring some principles behind that, because we're not coming here just saying things, but everything here like has a principle that we adopt at work in software development. And we're going to have like some libraries, okay? .NET libraries, where we're going to be talking or approaching validation libraries. Which validation libraries do you use? I'm just saying here, like same people. Hello, Ajmal. We have also Kevin. Hi, Kevin. Well, thanks for joining. I bring like the question to well, to the group in here. What validation libraries do you use with .NET? Or if you're not doing .NET, any other technologies? I'm just you just feel free like to bring like to the chat. And we're gonna also be talking about another library. Let me see here. Dependency injection. On the past with .NET Framework, there were like lots of NuGet packages, right, doing that for us. Nowadays, oh, those same libraries still, well, new libraries came up, others were just stay like in .NET Framework, but we're now in .NET Core nowadays. But, well, we have built-in, we have custom NuGet packages. Also bring like to you, like which library or of dependency injection do you currently use? Keen to hear like from you if you're been using different libraries, right? So, well, I've seen here like Karen, hi Karen, for validation, fluent validation. Yep, I've been using that as well. I think what we're going to be discussing here, and there's another one I'm going to be discussing about logging, right? There are lots in the marketing here, and they have specific purposes in different applications, right? I think it is out of that we're going to be discussing. Okay, which one you would use? What would be considerations for leveraging one over the other? I would say like I have my preferences, and those preferences should be challenged, right? I think like we only learn when we have, let's say, constraints, and you're faced with challenges. If you don't question, like you're gonna be just embracing libraries that you may not need, or going to be introducing complexities, or you're just going to be bringing too much power for something that's not required, right? But yeah, it's going to be like an interesting one. Uh, I'm gonna bring like some codes, right? We always have like samples in here. And I have prepared some samples. And within those samples, we're going to check the low fat and the high fat ones, built in and custom, and to see how it works, right? Because on validation, right? Carrying, well, maybe you guessed, but we're going to check like built in and fluent validation. It's just because that's what we've been using, all right, for a long time. Let me share my screen here. I know that yeah, I'm gonna zoom. I have like zoom in here, zoom it, but I have like this one. I call like a low fat validation. The links to the source I'm sharing in the next slides. But just for now, like you can see that we have like the low fat validation library, well, solution that I created. We have like in here controllers, one for fats, the other one for the low fats. We have a model customer. You have some validation here, right? But if I come like first under the program, right? I think this one, yeah, I zoomed in here a little bit, but it seems okay. Maybe I put like a little bit more. But what you're gonna see here is that, yeah, I have like basically a web API where I have a response here adding the problem details, just to give like an output that follows like a particular standard, right? I have here like a scoped, I'm just injecting, uh, you can see here, a fluent validation, I validator, right? I have a specific validator for that, for a customer. It, this is just like out of the box, okay? But we have this model, a customer. What it does is just like a simple model where I have like the first name, last name, and age, right? Being required, being like an integer in here. But so far so good. But when it comes down to this here, let's see. Well, I have a validator for fluent validation, which means, okay, if I look like the project, let me just bring the project. So, well, that's the only package I have. This is kind of came with like Web API. I'm on .NET 9 here. But the only library I added was this NuGet Fluent Validation.esp net core. But when you look like the validation here, I have the Fluent Validation implement way of doing things, where I have like this abstract validator that goes leverage the model. And then I have some rules in here. Okay, that's Fluent Validation. I have a rule for the first name that cannot be empty. In case it is empty, is not provided, says that first name is required. Same for last name. Here I have a rule for the age, that people need to be like greater than or equal to 18, right? So otherwise it shows me a message in here. Well, that's a rule. I'm applying like the fluent validation. What about like .NET? How I could do that, like the built-in? Have you seen this one before? I validate a datable object. All right, so if you look at that, this is part of the system and component model data notations. In general, to be honest, I'm guilty. I don't tend to leverage that. Right? I think like similar to caring. Well, you mentioned like fluent validation. Yeah, I've been doing that for some time. Eh, I have like another question here. Oh, Alex, how is it to move from fluent validation to shouldly? Well, I don't know if there's like fluent assertions, right? I think that's been a package that was publicly available up to version 7, but now on version 8, it's, well, now you need to pay for it. Uh, I have not used shouldly with like for validation purpose. I think like shouldly, at least like on the examples that I've used, I use fluent assertions. I don't know. Maybe it's because I have not explored the library, right? Maybe if there are others here, the chats that have used, yeah, feel free to bring like some details here. Yeah, fluent validation is no longer free. Fluent assertion. Yeah, I got your point. Yes. No, all good, no worries. But yeah, that's one of the considerations we're going to be talking, right? Because you're leveraging NuGet for a long time, fluent assertions with like unit testing. And now it's paid. The new version is paid. You need to ponder. Do you want to pay for that? Right. So decisions like that. Thanks for bringing, Alex. But yeah, we're gonna bring this as part of the considerations. But I'm guilty, like of this one. I validatable objects. I it feels that this could be like this interface. You could implement that within the model, It's just that you would be bringing not only, well, you could implement in here, have like an interface for that. What I did in here was more like a wrap, right? So I got like this behavior I implemented, which brings only this method in here for validation, but I have the same here, first name, right? And new validation results with a last name is required. In validation result, customer must be at least 18 years old, right? So I put like some conditions in here. It does the same, right? Let's like get it running. But what you're gonna see, I have like some breakpoints that have presets in here, but we have two controllers, and you're gonna see them in action, right? Let me bring this one. I have like created these requests in here, right? So later on you can have a look. But what I have in here is that I have like a post that request that is going to send to this fat customer. It contains a payload, right? And this payload, remember the logic, so it needs to be, well, at least like 18, right? Greater or equal than 18. I think that was the rule in here. Let's see. Oops, where is that? Here. Okay, greater than or equal to 18. So I'm providing 17. So what's going to happen? I should be, I should receive like a warning or an error, right? Well, first of all, before like I get to execute that, let me bring like this one or put like a breakpoint to the fat controller, right? What I did in here is that I have injected the I validator, which is the fluent validation. And well, from what I'm providing on the body, I'm just doing the validation. If it's not valid, I'll return a validation problem details. Okay, otherwise, simulates the creation of a customer in here. So let me trigger that. So that's for the fat. Uh, go there. I'm gonna call the fat controller. It would be launched. Let's see. Is it? It is. So let me just send the request. Yeah. So because like I have injected that as part of the middleware, so I have like this now being like injected or like or initialized. Okay. But when it comes down here like that now, it's triggering the customer in the request. Okay, I pass. Okay, John Smith, age 17. This one is going to be validated. In here I get like the result that is that like valid, false, right? So if it's not valid, I'm going to create this problem detail. So this is fluent assertions, fluent validation. And I'm just handling that directly. In general, fluent validation, you can hook to other, well, I've been doing that with mediator, but here just for the sake, we're just showing how it works. But yeah, so I create like a problem details, and what's going to happen is that I'm going to return like an error. Well, I just took like a little bit more time. Let me just say again, go, go, and I should get a 400, right? So that was a bad request coming here. And what it said customer be at least 18 years old, okay? And I have the same with the low fat. And what the low fat does, I can put in here, but it just receives this customer validator, which is the wrap that contains the reference to the customer together with the uh, built-in validatable object. And what's going to happen is that I'm going to trigger, and we're going to see this being triggered like together, right? So because now I'm coming here with like the name, like John Smith below 18, I'm going to get this validation result coming here. Interesting that. I don't know if I passed that. Let's see. Should have triggered that. Maybe just passed. I didn't see or. Uh, okay, let me put it all this. Let's see. All right, I think I missed that one. That's the low fat customer, but the request is just coming directly with the validation context in here. In the validation context contains the validator, and the validator contains all the details of the implementation. Interesting. I was expecting the endpoint to be called in here, but anyways, not going to be troubleshooting that. But you can troubleshoot yourself, like when you get the sample. But in the end, you're going to get as well the same behavior, right? So, well, we had like built-in, we had fluent validation in here. Well, it does a job. Both work. When should you leverage one over the other? Right? I'll leave the question open for now. We're going to come with principles to help us defining, okay, what makes sense, really. Let's say here, Kevin, I'm just checking like the message on the other uh, screen here. Sorry for the interruption. I'm still a newbie. All good, man. We're all learning. Is low-fat NuGet packages an alternative to perhaps built-in inbuilt packages? It is a analogy, right? I bring like the session to talk about the low-fat NuGet packages, but they are built-in, right? So that's the analogy I want to bring. Uh, but yeah, or versus high fats would be any NuGet package, right? Just because we're not referencing those NuGet packages. I hope I'm more I'm more clear like in here. But yeah, all good. Great question. I hope I have clarified. Let me close this one. I'm gonna bring also stop debugging. Yes, I have the other library here for dependency injection. Right. So we mentioned about dependency injection, and wow, there's been lots of implementations on the market for that. I'm bringing AutoFac. Right? AutoFac, it's always been there. .NET Framework, .NET Core is being there as well. A very popular library. Right? The only reference I have in here is that AutoFac.extensions.dependency injection. Cool. I'm leveraging version 10. And when you look in here at my project, I'm calling it OFAT dependency injection. Two methods, two controllers, just for as a sample, right? But I have some sort of, I think, services. I create some services in here. Some services are going to be initialized with one dependency injection framework, and the other is going to be initialized with another one out of fact, right? But I have a model and I have extensions. I think if I bring those extensions in here, you're going to see that one service collection, right? But it contains multiple, well, both implementations in here. One leverages the Microsoft extensions dependency injection, which is the built-in, and the other one leverages, well, so I have like here AutoFac, right? AutoFac service provider factory. So I'm adding here a scoped service for iProduct service, another one for iShopping carts. And in here, I have a module, right? So if you're familiar, I'm not sure if you're familiar with AutoFac, but AutoFac, you have like, you could use like modules. And if I jump to this, what it's doing is that it's registering the module, right? This is built-in. I'm registering as a scoped instance. If I go to this service module, so I'm registering those services in here as implemented interfaces, instance per lifetime scope. So both are being injected in a scope, right? But I'm using this concept of modules with AutoFac. And that's always how you would group functionalities, right, into their own project. And then you would load those modules and register them within this container on AutoFac. I still I still use AutoFac in projects, especially the ones where you have .NET Framework and .NET Core working, well, not together, but you have legacy, right? So you have .NET Framework, .NET Core. If you come like with that sort of legacy implementation, AutoFac was, well, at least like worked with AutoFac and .NET Framework. So it would make sense for you to have a transition path leveraging those modules to .NET Core, right? If you are starting nowadays, it feels like to me, right? My opinion. But if you're coming nowadays fresh, greenfields, it makes sense to use the iService collection, right? There are people that I've seen people using AutoFac in vanilla new .NET projects. Well, nothing against, to be honest, but yeah, I would be using built-in, right? Just because it's in there, it's easier. I would say just to get going, right? So you don't need additional libraries, but AutoFac can be used uh, according to your needs, right? And I want to bring like those two in here. Uh, so what I have in here first, so I have like my program CS. I have AutoFac. Okay, so AutoFac is being in here, and I have my, where's the product requests, or so what I'm doing here is I'm calling like the low fat dependency injection. Okay, I'm gonna use this one. Actually, I want to use the fat one, which is the shopping cart, I guess. Low fat, low fat. Where's the high one? Low fat, low fat. I think I'm, well, bear with me here. All right. Yeah, it's all low fat, but it doesn't matter because in the end, it's one or the other, right? So it doesn't matter how I called in here, but it's just an endpoint. The one that's going to make the difference is this one, AutoFac or service collection, not both altogether, okay? So this one's going to run with AutoFac. Regarding the instances and how the dependency injection works, is that it's transparent, okay? I just have my iProduct service that's going to be injecting here, and whatever method I call, I'm just calling the interface. So nothing to do with AutoFac. This is just working as a middleware, right? When things getting initialized on .NET. What I'm gonna do in here, so this is leveraging AutoFac. I'm going to make a call. Where's the request? Product request. I'm gonna get a product. I probably don't have anything, to be honest. Let's see. Get products in here. Okay, I have the interface. Create get product, just an empty object, okay? Or get product. But we can test in here and see that things are working. So if I send a request, oh, it got in here, right? So I'm just passing and you're gonna see that, where is that? Here. I got an empty object, fine, but it's 200, okay? So it shows that with AutoFac, things were initialized. I'm stop that. I'm gonna come comment that out and come in here. And let me save. Now we're gonna use service collection. Okay, let me start that one. So once it comes, let's see. So in general, like it launches like this console, it's launched on my other screen. So maybe just bring for you guys to see it. Okay, just bear with me. Oh yeah, that's coming here. All right, so I just brought the console. Yeah, it's running, right? So let me get this out. And I do the same because now I'm going to request. This is going to call like the same, but you can see the product service was initialized. Okay, so I leveraged the, oops, go back. Okay, which is empty, and I got a 200. So both worked. Okay. I didn't have like any special case really or complexities. So for me, well, as I said, we have preferences, right? In general, I tend to favor a little bit more built-in, but as I said, I'm guilty as well because I always use Fluent validation, but there is built-in available on .NET as well, right? So just bring for awareness. The other one that I have, it's about logging. If I can bring, I call the other project in here. Okay. Well, let me show the project. All right. Okay. So it's just like a low-fat logging, two controllers, right? A single model, and that's it, right? But when you look at, at the project here, I'm leveraging Serlog, which is a very popular library for logging. Okay. And I'm also leveraging the Azure Monitor OpenTelemetry.espnet core, right? Kevin, like in this case in here, I'm leveraging another NuGet package, but rather than leveraging 6 packages, I'm leveraging only one on top. So I want to compare like those, right? Because Serlog also it's a very robust log implementation, right? So that we can leverage in .NET, but we have like additional well dependencies, right? Depending on they have these concepts of sinks that allows you to expose logs to different places, right? You could write locally, you could like I'm using application sites, I'm using sinks console, right? To write things on the console application. And, well, they work really well. And but what am I doing here is that okay. So what I had in here is that Serlog. I'm configuring Serlog here to come. So I'm defining the configuration, just saying that okay, leverage the configuration file. So my app settings JSON here. I'm leveraging the Serlog configuration, which allows me to configure on JSON. I could do that programmatically. It feels that configuration is tidier. So that's why I'm leveraging that. But I'm saying here like, okay, host, use Serlog. And also in here, I'm saying, okay, app, use the Serlog request logging to enable Serlog requests logging. Just so when you see HTTP requests, they get logged as well. If I am to trigger that, you're gonna see that for the customer. Before I trigger that, you can see that I'm leveraging the Serlog implementation, serlog.log. While on the low fat, I'm using iLogger. Okay. So what happens that the library from Microsoft on Azure, the OpenTelemetry, they have hooked, they have implemented on the NuGet package the iLogger, which is the built-in implementation in .NET. But because I have added the library, it allows me to expose logs, right, to application sites. So I would say it's a mix of built-in and implementation with application sites, right, leveraging the interface for that, while the Serlog in here has their own implementation. But they do exactly the same. But Serlog is much more powerful. Let me bring that with Serlog in here. One of the things that, well, it's launch, that's okay. But we have the configuration. Well, there's some details in here that later on, like around the application sites, the connection string, that's going to, it's just temporary, so I'm not bothered about that. But you can see that I have Azure Monitor connection string for that. And on Serlog, you can see also the logging here. I have like some, okay, default information, ASP.NET Core warning, same for console, okay. that's the connection string for the application sites with Azure Monitor. And this is specific for Serlog. In Serlog, I'm using the Serlog config. I'm saying, okay, I want to use this sync console in the application sites. I can override those settings that I have specified in here, but what I'm doing here is just the default overriding Microsoft and system only for warnings. Okay, when it's writing to, it's going to write to console application sites, and there is that's the same connection string. There's a converter from a kind of a trace telemetry to convert the output to application sites, right? So that's what I have in here. The rest is just like applications, okay, calling the application as a fat customer, and enriching the context. It's some sort of implement. I'm not making use of that. It's a Serlog. You can extend, inject other attributes in here to grab more details about the execution of your application. Serlog is really powerful, right? I'm not leveraging anything, to be honest. I'm just hooking the bare minimum in here just to make it work for console and the application sites. Uh, I'm just gonna trigger that, okay? Here you can see I have, let me just check like the screen. Okay, cool. That's all good. Low fat and fat customer. Right now I have Serlog, so that's the fat implementation. I'm gonna send requests, and I have a breakpoint. Cool. Get like the customer. If the customer is no, which is not, so you would just show like invalid in a bad request. What it's doing here is that the customer is created. One thing before I proceed to that, oops, it should come this one. I'm gonna trigger that. Well, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. I did. Cool. All right, so I did like the log in here formation. Here log brings me, I just have run exactly that, okay? Here log brings this structured logging by default. Pretty cool. For making use of that, yep, I think this one is very nice. I like the output. Yeah, but yeah, it's just like how we're bringing that for logging. And the other one, return customer created successfully. Okay, and it came another one. So you remember like that we have injected the HTTP request. So it captured that in here, right? What it's interesting is that I have that being well, sending also to application sites. Hopefully that one works. Okay, let's see if that comes. In general, like application sites can take few minutes to bring things here. Like just let me refresh. Oh, the first one came, right? So well, we recorded that. Okay, you should have like the HTTP as well when it comes. There should be two in here. But anyways, should be coming here. But it grabbed, it created like the trace for John, okay, Smith, 18, and the customer. Okay, if you want to have like the to look at that, right? So wow, it sent all those details, right? The message, it brought like the custom properties that you had, things that part of Serlog dumping in here. That's cool. So it got registered. Let's see if the other one came here. It came, right? HTTP. The HTTP post came as a trace. Okay. Keep an eye on that. So that's the Serlog. So it captured the application sites. Just a note that for HTTP came as a trace, uh, which is fine, right? So we capture that. That's all good. Let me go now. Stop that. Let's bring the out of the box. For out of the box, I'm gonna comment that out. I'm gonna bring this, comment this one out. The other one here, well, not using, not hooking that. But what's important for me is the open telemetry. Okay, let me get this one running. Let's see that. Once it launches, so this one is gonna trigger the, well, once I make the call, this is not the fat, it's going to be the low fat one. Same stuff, but this case in here is the iLogger. Okay, let me bring that. So this is not going to be the fat customer anymore. I'm gonna do this with the low fat. Let me see if the console has come. Ah, it's coming. Did it trigger? Not yet. It failed. Okay. It was going to start. I've seen like some case. Let me close that. Gonna start like with a new one. But yeah, now it's going to be kind of the low-fat built-in version. I'm only interested in capturing what I have and sending to application sites. If I don't need to send the log anywhere else, this one makes just ticks the the check for me and sends a message where I want to send. So requests, send requests. Cool. So that's the iLogger. Okay. Is that is the value? No, no, it's not. Contains those details. Okay. Customer is created and successfully. When I look at the logs, well, this is not structured, right? If you look in here, it's not structured, but well, it captured that the log customer was created. That's okay. My main reason is not to log in here anything. It's just to send to application sites. Let's see if that went across. Should be this. All right, so I had like two traces in here. So let's see if that came. Oh, it came up. All right. I think, yeah, it did that. It started, it captured more details came in here, but it captured what I had it in here. Show all. Yeah, it did capture a lot of things, but that's kind of the library, the out of the box, well, allowed the Azure application site. So it captures a lot of details, but around the where it's coming from, your runtime. That's the request, right? The request as well. It comes as a request, right? I think that's the only difference from the other one. Oops, can I close this? Maybe there is more here coming. No, I did. It showed like in here, right? So the customer was created. That's okay. You brought that one. We have like more details. Yeah, I think like this one, the output was just the object. We could like handle that with more specifics. But anyways, it grabbed the object or in here, but this one was a request, right? Oops, can I remove that? Yeah. So this one came as a request. So, okay. So if you were filtering, this would get you across like what you needed. This other one came as a trace. Not a major, so but you would get like a job done, right? So, well, both scenarios in here. It did a job we needed, but now let's ponder like well the whys really. Let me continue on that with the session. The built-in, right? So we had the validation, dependency injection, and logging. For the validation, the built-in was the iValidatable object coming from system.component model data annotations. It didn't require us to add any other extra NuGet package. It's just there. For the dependency injection, we leverage this service collection, right? The built-in implementation that comes from Microsoft.extensions.dependency injection. Things were in there, right? I need didn't need to reference any external packages. For the logging, I leverage this packaging here, azure.monitor.opentelemetry.espnet core. So that was an extra NuGet package, leveraging the built-in capabilities of .NET, right? And I had the custom packages for validation, dependency injection, but validation, fluent validation, .espnet, not espnet core, dependency injection, leveraging out-of-fact.extensions, dependency injection, in logging. Well, we leverage four of them. Serlog.espnet core, .settings.configuration, .syncs, .application sites, .syncs, .console. Well, just to suit my needs, right? But I need to leverage more packages. Nothing wrong in here. It's just like a question of, yeah, built-in versus custom packages. When should I leverage low fat or a high fat implementation? Well, high fat is not bad. It's not bad. It's just that maybe you're introducing more things than you need. I think that's the analogy here, is that you have more that you're implementing, or maybe you have that purpose. You need to have more because that's the only way you're gonna check the boxes, right? The check boxes for your application. Some considerations in here, right? All right, now we're bringing to considerations. Not right, or I'm not saying things are right or things are wrong. It just varies, right? Maintainability for built-in. It says, okay, that's supported by Microsoft. It would come like updates with .NET releases, or custom third party that requires you need to track those updates. Maybe check a compatibility. Maybe there would be breaking changes or maybe deprecation. Well, that happens as well with .NET, right? So .NET deprecated from version 8 to version 9, open swashbuckle with like open API implementation. That was completely deprecated and removed, right? Deprecated and removed. That was a drastic change. So that can happen with built-in as well. But general, you have like updates come from Microsoft. Uh, Complexity. I'm saying Microsoft because they're checking .NET, right? But that's the stack. Complexity. Maybe built-in is simpler, standard use case. You simply tick the box. Maybe you need to use a third party because it handles advanced complex scenarios. All good. Performance. Maybe you want like optimized, like integrated with .NET runtime, or maybe the custom ones introduce a little overhead. But well, it's always about like those pros and cons, right? Dependencies with built-in, it's in there, so don't have additional dependencies. Custom NuGet package, yeah, you have additional references, right? Uh, this concept of dependency hell, yeah, well, you need to manage those dependencies, and but yeah, it's a additional consideration. Support of the community, all right? So aligned to what Alex mentions, that uh, built-in, backed by Microsoft, third party, it varies, right? It depends on the maintainer. Uh, Maybe the maintainer is going to uh, bill for that. They're going to change, like introduce like a pricing model. And yeah, you need to consider that if that's what you really need. The last one here, like features and, oops, let me bring the pen here. I'm just saying, but oops, laser points. Cool, yeah, all good. Features and flexibility. Well, this one would be limited to what's available on the core functionality. If you need more than that, you need to implement custom or your own implementation with advanced needs. Maybe like Serlog, like for example, has rich features, configurations, faster implementation, more complex requirements. Maybe um, it's easier and you have much more. So need to balance that, right? Cost and licensing. Built-in would be free as part of the .NET, or you may need to pay, right? Check the terms and conditions. Security. Well, Microsoft endorses that. You have minimal risks. Maybe you need to evaluate whatever is being injected in there. Like there's been like in the past mock-Q, right, for unit testing, where you would create like mocked tests. On mock-Q, there was introduction of a security. Uh, well, what was that? Like it was uh, security vulnerability by introducing some sort of uh, a package that was transmitting information out of your application, right? So imagine that. There's been like patches fixing that, but I think the owner rolled back and pushed like an update to remove that sort of security issue. But well, uh, it's good like the community is watching, right? So as soon things dodgy happen, people just flag and raise those concerns, which is pretty cool. Like at the time, I remember I was leveraging mock-U as well. I would say who doesn't, right? Or when doing mocked unit tests, always use that. But that was like a big eye opener at the time. Speed of development. Well, maybe built-in may require like more efforts to achieve the complex functionalities that you need. And then, yeah, uh, you're gonna have a like faster development, but you need more time to implement additional things. Maybe this one speeds up development because everything is in there. All right. Long-term vision, part of your technical roadmap. It's something to be decided with the team, right? Considering also if that's gonna die or not, like stable and less likely to be deprecated. Yes and no, right? The Open API swashbuckle removed from .NET 9. So long-term vision, yeah, it depends, right? Risk of abandonment. So verify active maintenance, long-term viability. Yeah, yeah. I would say that open source it's community engagement. So as soon as there are lots of good libraries, people just providing feedback, incrementing. But when you go and you leveraging a single or a library that has only one maintainer, that there are risks, right? If that person abandons or stops the contributions, then yeah, it always happens, right? But people come with great ideas. It's just that if you want to contribute, continue that, right? And maybe your team comes and sponsor that. In general, the way how I've been seeing is that only the big techs come to sponsor those projects. Sometimes they don't, because if smaller companies in general, it feels that like kind of sad, right? Not coming to contribute to open source, but um, yeah, in general, putting effort and time comes from individuals in the community. Here are some considerations, right? But we have also principles. I'm gonna bring like principles in here that if you're working teams, working products, right? But also principles apply to software development. Just coming first in here with like product mindset is that when you're working like in teams, I've been reading like this book in here, the lean mindset, ask the right questions. Uh, well, it's great like for you to get to know or to leverage like creativity or innovation to bring that sort of mindsets of collaboration in organizations. I think that's it's a good like book that kind of allows you to have that sort of mindsets to think like lean, really. And um, here, like ask the right questions. Just helps you to find root causes of problems, like ask the questions about different concerns, different assumptions, or so it helps you to question like things or the current status. I think that's it's valid, right? So that's but like one thing that brought me to my attention there is like a specific case that's related to Spotify as well, where they put like this cycle of thinking and coming with the ideas, right? Then like building like only what's required, and then shipping and tweaking, right? Keeping that sort of flow. But one of the things like that drives that, and you see this like with product teams, is that well, the faster you ship it, uh, the less expensive it is, and the better product outcomes you get it, right? But for you to produce that, like you're gonna ponder, okay, built-in implementation or custom implementation. Well, which one is going to be really important for your team, right? Maybe, well, in here, like when it says like you build it, you're gonna build like this MVP, but you need to build something that is not gonna bring you technical debt, right? Something that is gonna bite you back in the future. You're gonna make like uh, well, you're gonna agree to build something that matches the requirements but fulfills the technical uh, well, or the, let's say, agreements within the company or any established practices, right, that are available in there, maybe libraries that you have for reuse. So you should factor that. It's not building the MVP, the minimal products, without considering that. But so that's the point here. Like that's with products, you want to shift things, well, to deliver things fast and quick because it's less expensive. In here, like we have like this curve in here, it's just like just to give like a idea of the whys, right? When you think you have like a cost, but when you get to build, so you can see like that the cost, the operational cost in here that goes just high. So you're building, then shipping, you're still not having. When you ship, that's when you're gonna bring that to customers. They're gonna start like paying for that, right? And using, and then that's when you have the money to tweak and improve, and then make things like cheaper, right? But in here, you can see that the product risk in here, that's from ideation to delivery, that's when things go low, right? So that's like, okay, you're minimizing risk. But as I said, like built-in or custom, right? So that's the question that I bring to you. There are like some software development principles. Well, I guess like every developer should know. If you don't, let's see, like you should learn. And you should check like more references about that. Yagni, right? So you ain't gonna need it, which is well, very popular, I would say, that comes from extreme programming, right? Back in the 90s. I think like when companies start like just focusing on only what's needed, right? Only what's really important, and not focusing on future, bringing future towards your current implementation. If you bring like more stuff, you just you basically you could like over engineer things. You're bringing all the concerns that they're not there, like they're not, well, they're not needed now. Maybe if you're like thinking put like product to market, you're not gonna think like scaling that. Well, I put like a scenario here, like maybe like you're gonna have like a research, right? If like it's part of the initial requirements that you're gonna have thousands of users coming, you're going to design with things in mind that okay, you're coming with scale. But if you're putting a new product to the market that you have like no idea of adoption, you're not going to design for scale uh, just right now, right? You're just going to put it in as things demand increase, then you're going to start thinking, okay, now demand has increased. I'm going to split and create like multi-serve. Well, more services, make it more scalable. But right now we don't need it. So that's the principle behind it. The other principle, KISS, right? Keep simple, stupid. It's just like focusing. That's a principle for back like the 1960s, right? And I think like back like the Navy, where like things were being produced, we need to be to prioritize simplicity over complexity, right? So you just deliver things that are simple. You don't overcomplicate, right? That's another principle to take and always have that to learn like that in the details behind, right? Dry, don't repeat yourself. Well, that one like being there like from the book The Pragmatic Programmer. That was yeah, don't repeat yourself. So we're gonna create codes that can be, well, you're not gonna duplicate, you're gonna reuse. All right, so you're gonna make things smarter. The main ones I want to bring are those two in here, really. Because Yagni, you ain't gonna need it. Right now, focus on what's important, right? Right now, not the future. Don't over engineer. Uh, uh, I think like that's the main problem, main challenge that we as developers tend to do it, to think like in future. Don't think about that. Look like as a product that you deliver that works. Tick the boxes like for the requirements that you're aware, right? Uh, uh, Things that have been discussed on the team, right? Keeping simple. I think like when you start creating abstractions, layers of complex. Uh, yeah, I think like it tends to for us to um, experience the pain, right? For years in the field to then identify that, well, you're not gonna need a lot of complexity. You tend nowadays I tend to keep like things simpler, but simpler is difficult. I'm not saying that's easier, but thinking, have this mindset is going to help you to better deliver things, right? Uh, well, I would like to share like the code in here that so you can grab it, play with it. So I have here like the dependency injection, the logging, the validation, right? Uh, and I'd like to thank you just for coming and joining this session. I don't know if there are any other questions. I think like I brought a different perspective in here or a view, right? That for you to question things really as developers, um, we tend to do things, but we need to challenge. That's my advice for you to learn those principles, ponder things, and discuss with your team. Right? Make things simpler. Yeah? And I think that's my 2 cents in here. We should have more sessions coming now in Feb. I just need to announce to the user group. I'd like to invite you to come forward if you have like any sort of sessions or think about having ideas, right? Because I know that as developers, it's difficult to come like on user groups and come and share like or talk about something. If you have like some content that you'd like to share, feel free to ping me. I'm happy to help like creating some sort of uh, presentation or guiding on the steps, right? In providing like feedback. I think that's the value as a user group to come like and help each other. And I would like if you have that interest or for 2025 now you have that, so I come like to the community and engage a little bit more. Well, feel free to ping me. This is an open user group for anyone to come and share, really. And I'd like to thank you again. I'm not seeing like any other messages. And yeah, stay in touch, and we get to talk again in the next session, the next month. Until there, yeah, have a great evening and catch up soon. Bye.